My name is Thomas Elbling, and I want to tell you about my experience on the Camino de Santiago in the summer of 2009, when I walked 500 miles in 30 days. That is the same as walking from Providence, Rhode Island, to Richmond, Virginia, along Route 1. The Camino is a 1,000-year-old Christian route that leads to the city of Santiago de Compostela in northern Spain. That is where the Catholics discovered the grave of Saint James the Apostle around the year of 850. I started off on July 13, 2009 from Saint-Jean, a French village at the foot of the Pyrenees Mountains, next to the Spanish border. For the first 17 days, I walked with my cousin Alice Martins, and for the last 13 days, I walked with my uncle Fernando Martins. After the first day, I was lost and thinking, why am I doing this? I decided to walk the Camino after I heard the stories from friends and family. I looked forward to the challenge of accomplishing a difficult and unusual objective. What I learned is that the Camino is much more than that. On the Camino, I didn't need to carry much to survive. My backpack weighed less than 12 pounds. There are no guides on the Camino. From my starting point, I followed the yellow arrows and signs that led to my destination. They came to mean the journey that I took also inside myself. I learned to pace myself and took good care of my feet and body. On average, I walked 17 miles every day in different weather conditions. I walked through forests, fields, vineyards, country roads, across mountains, along highways, up and down slopes, across rivers. I walked for days and days in 100-degree weather on flat plains between Burgos and León. Sometimes the Camino was boring, but this was part of my experience too. I also met other peregrinos, that is what we call each other, from all over the world and all walks of life. Each had his or her personal reason to be on the Camino. All peregrinos are equal on the Camino, and everyone is known by his first name only. I was Thomas from Brazil. I started off early each day, usually before 6 in the morning. I stopped for a break every few hours and for lunch, taking off my boots and catching my breath. I would finish the day in mid-afternoon and would spend the night in a small inn or hostel. The evenings and dinners were very special. That is when I met other peregrinos, and we talked about the Camino and about ourselves. I arrived at the Cathedral of Santiago on August 11, along with dozens of other peregrinos. Most were now friends I would never see again. The Pilgrim's Mass at noon officially marked the end of my journey. I then went to Finisterre, and overlooking the sea, I burned some of my clothing, as peregrinos have done for centuries. I will never forget my experience on the Camino de Santiago. And because of the Camino, I will always be a peregrino.